Hi boys and girls, I'd like to show you today how to make a dog inspired by George Rodrigue's Blue Dog. I'm going to be using one 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. You can use whatever you have available to you. I'm going to keep it going side to side, and I'm just going to be focusing today on his head. So we're not going to worry about the body at all. We are just going to be drawing the facial features. To start with, I usually start with a rectangle shape for the shape of his nose. And you can see about where on my paper I put it. You can also see about how big it is. After that, I want to be able to make the white markings that are on his face. Sometimes animals have things like stripes or spots, and those are called markings. So we're going to do the white markings on his head. This shape kind of reminds me of a bowling pin that you would see at a bowling alley. It's a little bit skinny at the top, but then it gets nice and round as it goes around his nose. So there I have the white markings that go around his nose and kind of in between his eyes. The next thing I'm going to add is the bottom part of his mouth. So that could be considered his chin or his jaw. Next, I'm going to add in his eyes. His eyes go right next to where it gets skinny in the markings, and they are just a simple circle. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a simple circle on both sides. Inside that circle, we want to have what's called the pupil. The pupil is that little black space that helps us to see. So now we've got the pupil. Now on his eyes, George Rodrigue would include a little dot on the inside edge of the eye. It's kind of like the tear duct, and the tear duct is where the water comes out when you end up crying or maybe your eyes get all blurry. And he usually had one kind of on the inside, but he also had one that was across from it. So if you notice, I went straight up diagonally and added that little mark. So I'm going to do that on that side too. Sometimes there would even be a little mark on the opposite corner right there. So I went ahead and add that on my eyes. Next, I'm going to add in a curve above the eye, which is going to look a lot like an eyebrow. And I want to add that on both sides, but this is actually kind of showing where there are additional markings on him. And so I'm going to end up doing that same kind of curve underneath his eyes. So I went ahead and added those. George Rodrigue would usually paint a lighter color kind of around the eyes and really make them pop out more. So these lines kind of indicate where that color would go. Now I'm going to go right across from this rectangle for his nose, and I'm going to do this big curve to show where the edge of the head would be, and it's going to go around to the other side. After that, we need to add in Blue Dog's ears. And Blue Dog has these nice, big, pointed ears. So it's going to go all the way almost to the corner of my paper. I also like to show where the insides of his ear would be. So I'm going to add an extra little space on the inside. Now, George Rodrigue would usually do Blue Dog. So he would end up coloring his dog with lots and lots of blues. But you guys will be able to decorate your dog in whatever kind of colors you want and possibly give it whatever kind of background you want. So different colors, maybe it's in a certain place. That is going to be completely up to you. One thing that I think would help make my dog look better right now is instead of just having a floating face, I do think I'm going to show where his body starts. So if you would like to join me, you can also add in those lines to kind of look like his shoulders. And from there, I can go ahead and add whatever details and whatever color that I might like. Have fun creating!